Hi everyone, we're here today at Castle Beach in Falmouth. You know Sandra
Hello everybody.
and I, and this is our mum.
I'm Mum.
Mum's got a name, she's called Yvonne. And we're here today to talk about why it's been important for us to learn from Mum, and she learnt from her mum, all the skills that we now want to pass on in the shop from generation to generation. Sandra, did you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, it's really important to pass these skills on because so many people now are thinking about how we recycle stuff, and we use wool particularly because it has longevity. It doesn't disintegrate in the same way as some of the acrylics and things, so it's really good for the environment. So it's a good skill to learn to knit because you actually can produce some wonderful independent things, as I am learning. I can knit, but haven't knitted for a long time, so I'm just picking up again actually. And I do dressmake, which is another thing we'll touch on later. But you know, Mum is a knitter, so we really learnt from her.
Mum, you used to actually make a lot of our clothes when we were younger, didn't you?
Yes, well, in those days, as a lot of people, you didn't have a lot of money to go out shopping, and also there weren't the gadgets around then. So when you were all little, I knitted everything. I even knitted your socks. I knitted for years and years until the kids begged me, could they have jumpers like the other children when they were bought from shops. But every year they were all kitted out in Aran sweaters and everything. But it was normal for me to do that because that's the way things were as I was growing up. My God.
Well, we'll come back to you in a moment.
Yeah.
But what we find is so our children are sort of grown up and adults, but they're so used to fast fashion nowadays that you buy things and throw them away. So it's been really important for us to sort of think about how we could pass on these very traditional skills to our own children and even their children when they eventually have them. But also with our customers, you know, thinking about how we can teach them these traditional skills. And we are seeing younger people,
A lot more younger people, which is lovely, and they're really enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's something completely different. They've never learnt from their parents, so it's been great. Yeah, it's nice to see them come in, and even if they just try something really small like a hat or gloves, something that's very wearable, it's really great to see them trying. And then obviously Jane is like a knit tutor, so they come in when they go wrong, which you invariably do, and she sorts it out for them. And that's what you need. You need somebody that knows exactly where you've gone wrong and you can start again. Otherwise you get frustrated and put it down, which is not what we want. We want you to start thinking about making things for yourself. It's a fantastic thing to do.
our mum actually is the other one that picks up some of the projects that we get stuck on, whether it be dressmaking actually.
Yeah, actually.
So mum also made most of our sort of clothes, sewed most of our clothes when we were younger, as probably your mum did.
Well, I think the kernel of it is you have to start very young. Now, I grew up during the war years. I mean, I was only 5 then and 11 when the war ended. But you made do with whatever was there, and we were part of a large family. We were 9 children. And my mother taught us all to embroider. And silks, you used to have to split them up because they were so precious. And also knitting. We all learned to knit. And it was very exciting. There was rivalry who could do it. Mother sorted it all out. Now, dressmaking, you made use of whatever was available. My sister Joyce, who was older than us, she dyed a sheet. Beautiful sky blue with a Reckitt's blue, as they used to boil them in boilers in those days. There was no such thing as washing machines. And she cut out a dirndl skirt with straps and frills on it. We were green with envy because it was beautiful in our eyes. And then my dad, because he was a tug master, and he got hold of a piece of there's cords that used to anchor barrage balloons. If one was snagged or it was shot or something and it came down, the cords, if you split them open with a razor, there were hundreds of thin strips of rubber inside. So my mother used to make us children pull them out, take 3 at a time and plait them, and they were strong enough to put round the legs of knickers.
I knew she was going to say that. I just knew it. It was always got something to do with knicker elastic.
It was knicker elastic, yeah. And round her dirndl skirt.
Oh, I think that's enough.
Fine.
Yeah.
As you can see, Mum learnt all her skills from a really young age, and we are so grateful.
We are.
She's shutting me up, really.
We're just worried about what she might say next. And I can reassure you that we don't use plaited rubber from things to make our knickers
No,
nowadays.
good old M&S.
Yes, Spencer's is fine. But that principle of learning those skills and hearing the history, I think, of how these things were created and how, you know, people did do it out of necessity, but now we don't have to do it so much. But now we're thinking about the planet. Yes, we do need to think about the impact of what we're making, and we want to make things that last, and in our shop that's what we really encourage people to do. So
It's definitely our ethos,
yeah,
isn't it?
definitely, with
Yeah.
good quality products as well. So yeah, we just wanted to share our mum. You hear a lot about her, but also really how we sort of came to sort of really love those sort of traditional skills of sewing, knitting and crochet.
But children do love to learn. I don't think people, because this generation are not really craft orientated in the way that we were, because they've got so many things now available to them. But children enjoy being taught skills, and I don't think sometimes in schools as well. I mean, we used to have sewing lessons in school,
So did we.
knitting lessons.
Yeah, and me.
Well, it didn't show, did it?
Well, it does now.
It does now.
Bit late in the
No,
day.
it's ingrained in you, but I think, you know, children are so receptive to being taught skills with their hands that it should be encouraged all the time.
Hey ho.
Shut up, Mother.
Thank you for listening.